Hello students, now I am going to explain you the part 2 of chapter 2 of the history from trade to territory. After the Battle of Plassey, there was the Battle of Buxar. It was there in October 1764, was fought between the forces under the command of British East India Company on the one side and the combined army of Mir Qasim, the Nawab of Bengal, Shujauddaulah, the Nawab of Awadh, and Shah Alam II, the Mughal emperor. Battle fought at Buxar in Bihar, a town located on the bank of Ganga's river. It was a very great battle won by the forces of the British East India Company. In 1765, both Shah Alam and Shujauddaulah signed the Treaty of Allahabad with the English Viceroy Lord Clive. Under this treaty, the company got the right to collect the Diwani, that is called the revenue, from Bengal, Bihar, and Orissa. The Nawab of Awadh paid rupees 30 lakhs to the company to retain his Nawabship. On the company's insistence, he also agreed to give the areas of Allahabad and Kara to the Mughal Emperor Shah Alam. The Nawab of Awadh became totally dependent upon the company. After this, there was the Anglo-Mysore Wars was there. The Anglo-Mysore wars were a series of wars fought in India over the last 3 decades of the 18th century between the Kingdom of Mysore and the British East India Company. Mysore had East India Company confront with Mysore. What was the reason? Mysore had grown in strength under the leadership of powerful ruler like Hyder Ali. He ruled from 1761 to 1782, and in his son Tipu Sultan, he became the next ruler. Mysore controlled the profitable trade of the Malabar coast where the company purchased pepper and cardamom. Next is in 1785, Tipu Sultan stopped the export of sandalwood, pepper, and cardamom through the ports of his kingdom, and he disallowed local merchants and trade from trading with the company. Next reason is Tipu Sultan had also established a close relationship with the French in India and modernized his army with their help. Next is the company saw Hyder and Tipu as ambitious, arrogant, and dangerous ruler who had to be controlled and crushed. Four wars were fought with Mysore at the time. At last, in the Battle of Seringamapatnam, the company ultimately got the victory. Tipu Sultan was killed defending his capital, Seringamapatnam. Mysore was placed under the former ruling dynasty of the Wadiyars and a subsidiary alliance was imposed on the state. Next is after that relations with the Sikhs. The Sikhs were the finest soldiers in India. They always fought in Maharaja Ranjit Singh to bring the whole of Punjab under his control. He was the chief of Shukrachakya Misl. He was very bold and strong. He brought the whole Punjab under his control up to the river Satluj. He also occupied Sea Satluj state of Patiala, Nabha, and Jind. Ranjit Singh had also won the respect of the British in India. Ranjit Singh entered into the Treaty of Amritsar with the English in 1809. According to it, the Satluj River was considered as the boundary line between the two, the English and Raja Ranjit Singh. Other missiles also accepted his supremacy and he became the Maharaja of Punjab. He extended his empire and included Peshawar, Multan, Kashmir, Kangra, Hazara, Ladakh, and the fort of Jamrud in his territories. But he could not win Sindh due to the opposition from the English. His empire extended from the Satluj River in the southeast to the Suleiman Mountain in the west and Kashmir in the north. He was very brave and strong, due to which he was called the Lion of Punjab. He had a very good personality. He was a great journal and a statesman. Being courageous, he was able to check the British advance by the diplomacy and strength. He trained his army on the western lines and in modern ways. After his death in 1839, however, internal rivalries among the numerous that was descendant for the crown shattered Sikh unity and worsened relation with the British. After that, administration under the company. In less than 100 years, from 1765 to 1848, the English East India Company had acquired control on the administration in India. It was really a startling speed at which the company completed its victory of India in such a short period. During this period, slowly the British government took the administration of India in its land hands and established its control over the affairs of the company till it was abolished in 1858. British territories were broadly divided into administrative units called presidencies. After that, administrative setup under the company. In order to have more and more markets, the East India Company began trading Kazakh tried every nerve to expand its territories in India. After that, civil service. The civil service was the main frame of the British administration in India. Lord Clive and Warren Hastings adopted some measures to control corruption by the company's commercial official and their ignorance about the administration. So, Lord Cornwallis was the real founder of the British civil service in India. The Indian civil service was much, it was the created by the young persons of the aristocratic families due to its handsome salary and the big position in the society. After that, the candidates for the civil service had to pass the competitive examination, which was called the ICS examination. But Indians were barred to appear in this examination. So the Indian were considered inferior to the British people, but slowly it began to be felt that Indian could be trained to run the administration on the lines of British civil servant. Indians were quite hardworking, efficient, and honest. To train the people on these lines, the college of Fort William was started at Kolkata in 1801 at that time. The army. The army, which was the second important factor of the British rule in India, also played a major role in the expansion of the British rule in India. It protected the company from its European rivals such as the Dutch, the French, or the Portuguese. It also conquered the territories of the native rulers. It crushed the rebels whenever they raised their heads. Next is the police. Police, whose aim was to establish law and order in the state after conquering it, was the third important pillar or factor in the expansion of British Empire in India. During the time of Lord Cornwallis, this force was given a regular shape. A superintendent of police was appointed in every district. He was the chief of the district police. The thanas were also established. The head of the thana was called the Roga. Duty was carried out by the watchmen in the villages. Though the aim of the police was to maintain law and order in the district, yet it always took bribes and harassed the people, so it never became popular. It helped the English government in suppressing the national spirit amongst the people. As in the army, discrimination was practiced against Indians in the police, judicial service as well. Judicial Service. Warren Hastings, the first Governor General, introduced several administrative reforms, and from 1772, a new system of justice was established. Each district was to have two courts: criminal court, that is called the Fauzdari Adalat, and a civil court, Diwani Adalat. Maulvis and Hindus Pandits interpreted Indian laws for the European district collectors who presided over civil courts. The criminal courts were still under a Qazi and Mufti, but under the supervision of the collector. Major problem was the Brahman Pandit gave different interpretations of local laws based on the different school of the Dharma Shastra. To bring about uniformity, in 1775, 11 Pandits were asked to compile a digest to Hindu laws. After that, the principal figure in an Indian district was the collector. As the title suggests, the main job was to collect revenue, land taxes, and maintain law and order in the district with the help of judges, police officers, and the rogas. Next is the doctrine of labs. What was that? In this doctrine of labs, that was the policy introduced by Lord Dalhousie, according to which the state of an issueless ruler would automatically pass over to the English company. Lord Dalhousie introduced the doctrine of labs, which enabled him to that was annexed vast territories. According to this doctrine, if a ruler of a dependent state died without leaving a natural descendant, the state would pass over to the British government. The doctrine did not recognize adopted children as rightful heirs. After that, some methods of expansion of English territories in India. The British fought a number of wars to expand their empire in India. They added the territories to their empire after winning Indian states such as Sindh, Punjab, Bengal, Mysore, Hyderabad, and certain portion. By subsidiary alliance, Lord Wellesley adopted the system of subsidiary alliance. What was that? A system of alliances introduced by the British Governor General Wellesley, through which the British came to control the affairs of Indian states, entering into the alliance without actually annexing them. Indian rulers were not allowed to have their independent armed forces. They were to be protected by the company but had to pay for the subsidiary forces that the company was supposed to maintain for the purpose of this protection. Indian rulers had to keep a British resident. With the passage of time, these residents started interfering in the internal affairs. If the ruler failed to make the payment, then part of the treaty was taken away as penalty. So after that, that in this system, if that was there was the Nizams of Hyderabad was the first to enter into this alliance. Tipu Sultan of Mysore refused to accept it, but after the British victory in the Fourth Anglo-Mysore War, Mysore was forced to become a subsidiary. Later, the Maratha ruler Bazi Rao II also accepted subsidiary alliance in the Treaty of Bassein. It was a chapter about trade to territory. Thank you and